in a dramatic and unexpected development that has captured the attention of defense observers worldwide. As many as 15,000 U.S. paratroopers have reportedly been quietly redeployed to the forward defense lines in Luzon, Philippines. This massive movement, conducted without prior public announcements or detailed press briefings, was only noticed after unusual spikes in military activity across several key air bases in the region. Analysts see this maneuver as part of Washington's broader strategy to solidify its presence and reinforce its forward operating posture in the Asia-Pacific, particularly at a time when geopolitical frictions in the South China Sea are reaching new levels of intensity due to overlapping territorial claims and the steady buildup of rival forces. All personnel involved in this unprecedented transfer were airlifted exclusively by the U.S. Air Force's strategic workhorse. The C-17 Globemaster III, an aircraft capable of transporting not only hundreds of soldiers at a time, but also a vast array of heavy military equipment. Dozens of C-17 sorties were launched in rapid succession, creating an almost continuous flow of air traffic heading toward Luzon. Each landing took place at carefully chosen and undisclosed sites, with strict operational security measures to ensure secrecy and deny surveillance by rival intelligence services. The tempo of these flights, the sheer scale of logistics involved, and the secrecy of the mission highlight the unmatched ability of the U.S. military to rapidly mobilize forces on a global scale with surgical precision. What makes the operation even more significant is that many of the paratroopers airlifted by the Globemaster are veteran airborne units previously stationed in Guam and Hawaii. Their redeployment directly into Luzon signals the seriousness with which Washington views potential threats in the region. Luzon's geographical location, facing critical international shipping lanes and lying in close proximity to contested waters in the South China Sea, makes it a highly strategic staging ground. By reinforcing this island with such a large airborne contingent, the United States is sending an unmistakable message to competitors that it is fully prepared to safeguard its national interests and guarantee the defense of its allies at the very edge of potential conflict. The C-17s were not only tasked with transporting personnel, but also delivered immense amounts of military hardware essential for sustained operations. Each aircraft carried carefully packed loads of light armored vehicles, portable artillery systems, reconnaissance drones, advanced communication platforms, and stockpiles of ammunition. Thanks to the Globemaster's enormous payload capacity and long-range capabilities, the U.S. was able to move thousands of tons of warfighting equipment within just days. This ensured that the paratroopers arriving in Luzon were not only present in numbers but also combat-ready and logistically supported to immediately undertake extended operations if required. Military experts have emphasized that the deployment of 15,000 paratroopers via hundreds of C-17 flights represents one of the most ambitious U.S. troop movements to the Philippines in decades. The decision demonstrates not merely a defensive precaution but a calculated effort to establish an offensive posture capable of exerting both physical and psychological pressure. With Luzon now acting as a reinforced hub, American forces gain a commanding vantage point from which they can monitor, intercept, and counter hostile maneuvers in the South China Sea. The speed and efficiency of the C-17 fleet makes such a projection of power not only feasible but alarmingly swift. The reaction from neighboring countries has been immediate and varied. For the Philippines, a long-standing treaty ally, the arrival of thousands of U.S. paratroopers is seen as a significant boost to national security and a reaffirmation of the defense alliance. Yet, for nations that contest maritime claims in the South China Sea, the sight of constant C-17 traffic delivering troops and hardware is perceived as a direct escalation. the balance of military power in the region has begun to shift, with American mobility and presence adding a new layer of unpredictability. This large-scale reinforcement leaves little doubt that Washington intends to maintain dominance in the contested waters. On the ground, the paratroopers ferried by the Globemaster have wasted no time in beginning joint exercises with the armed forces of the Philippines. These drills include airborne assault simulations, rapid insertion operations, and live-fire ground combat training in terrain resembling potential conflict zones such as dense jungles and coastal areas. The presence of U.S. troops in such numbers, combined with highly visible C-17 deliveries, underscores how logistical superiority can translate into enhanced combat readiness. The exercises also foster deeper interoperability between the two militaries, ensuring that they can fight as a unified force should circumstances demand. The secrecy surrounding the entire deployment illustrates the sophistication of Washington's strategic planning. The C-17 fleet operated under tight coordination, flying carefully plotted routes to minimize exposure to rival surveillance systems. Many flights were conducted under the cover of darkness, employing techniques such as rapid drop-off and immediate departure, ensuring minimal vulnerability on the ground. This ability to deploy thousands of troops discreetly, despite the massive scale of the operation, is a testament to the United States' dominance in airlift capability and operational planning. Despite the strategic benefits, concerns have been raised by observers that such a massive influx of troops could increase the risk of confrontation in an already volatile region. The South China Sea has long been a flashpoint, and the sudden appearance of 15000 combat-ready paratroopers, supported by constant C-17 traffic, may be interpreted by rivals as a provocation. Even a minor incident at sea or in the air could spiral into a broader conflict, once heavily armed forces are stationed in close proximity, raising fears of miscalculation and escalation. From Washington's perspective, however, the deployment is a necessary deterrent measure. By leveraging the unparalleled lift capacity of the C-17 Globemaster III, the U.S. is demonstrating not only its ability to rapidly reinforce allies, but also its commitment to deterring aggression before it can escalate into outright conflict. This is not a symbolic gesture. It is a carefully calibrated show of force meant to reassure allies like the Philippines, while warning adversaries that any attempt at coercion will be met with overwhelming military readiness. The world now watches closely to see how this bold maneuver will reshape the regional security environment. Will the deployment of 15000 U.S. paratroopers, carried into Luzon by the relentless flights of the C-17 Globemaster III, create a stabilizing effect through deterrence, or will it inflame tensions and set the stage for new confrontations? Much depends on how rival powers interpret America's silent but decisive move to fortify its frontline presence in Luzon, and whether diplomacy can keep pace with the rapid escalation of military activity. The role of the C-17 Globemaster III in this deployment also highlights how modern warfare is not solely determined by firepower, but equally by mobility and logistics. Without the strategic lift capability provided by these aircraft, the redeployment of 15000 paratroopers, along with their vehicles, weapons, and supplies, would have been nearly impossible within such a compressed timeline. The C-17s allow the U.S. military to project power across oceans with remarkable efficiency, effectively transforming distant bases into forward operating hubs almost overnight. This logistical mastery ensures that American forces are never caught unprepared, regardless of where tensions may arise. Observers in the region have already noted the psychological impact of seeing wave after wave of C-17s landing in Luzon, each disgorging more troops and equipment. For allies of the United States, the sight has been reassuring. a tangible reminder that Washington's commitments under its defense treaties are backed not just by words, but by decisive action. For rivals, however, the symbolism is more concerning. It demonstrates that the U.S. retains unmatched strategic mobility and that its forces can appear on the doorstep of contested regions in overwhelming numbers with little warning. This dual message reassurance to allies and deterrence to adversaries is central to the effectiveness of the deployment. Meanwhile, defense strategists argue that the Luzon operation may serve as a rehearsal for even larger contingencies. By stress-testing the capabilities of the C-17 fleet under real-world conditions, the Pentagon gains valuable insights into how quickly and effectively it can surge forces into contested regions. Lessons learned from coordinating such a large-scale airlift, managing logistics on the ground, and integrating joint training with host nation forces will likely shape future U.S. operations across the Indo-Pacific and beyond. In essence, every sortie of the Globemaster not only strengthens the immediate defense of Luzon, but also refines America's ability to respond globally to crises. Ultimately, the success of this deployment underscores the unique role of the C-17 Globemaster III as the backbone of America's rapid reaction capability. While fighter jets and warships often dominate headlines, it is the silent, tireless work of transport aircraft, like the C-17, that enables these forces to be in the right place at the right time. By carrying thousands of paratroopers and their gear into Luzon under strict secrecy, the Globemaster fleet has once again proven itself indispensable to U.S. strategy. Whether the move ushers in stability through deterrence or provokes new flashpoints, one fact remains clear. Without the C-17, America's ability to project power on such a scale would be severely diminished.
Also, please don't rest your muzzles on the floor. Rest them on your boots.